Hello and welcome to Diniz Farms. We're back with another episode of Mercer County. Let's jump right into things today and get started seeding our winter wheat. If we bring up the mini map here, you can see that this part has already got the appropriate amount of nitrogen on it, but as we come into the other part that we planted here, it looks like we are applying just a little bit more nitrogen. In fact, if I bring up the F1 menu here, you can see that we're applying 40 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare to get this wheat up to the optimal amount. And so you can see wheat takes a lot of nitrogen. We are going to go for the 2 headland passes on this seeder as well. Give us plenty of room for turning around. It's not as big of a deal if the worker needs to back up a little bit with this implement, as it should be able to figure it out with no trailer on here. But we prefer to optimize our workers, and not having to turn around a ton of times is usually for the best when it comes to farm sim workers. Now I'm turning around on our front yard there, probably not the best idea. Looks like the worker did get done up on the other end of the field there. He's just sitting there, I think. Oh, nope, he's still trying to do something, so I'm not sure where he's going. It's actually making me a little bit nervous. He's going to get crashed into a barn or something somewhere. Now, this seeder is able to go a little bit faster. We had our cruise control set at 6 because we had this tractor on the grain cart. So we're going to speed that up a bit so we can do our full 10 miles an hour as we're seeding here. And we're going to have to stop real quick and get over here and fix this worker. The worker's trying to jump fields on us. We don't want to be putting anhydrous on this other field. And so we're going to grab this guy real quick. Our next field for anhydrous is actually going to be this one over here. And so I think what we'll do is just go ahead and move him over to this other field real quick. And we'll worry about getting started on it here in a moment. But I just want to get him out of our way. Nobody should be coming down our driveway for a little bit here. So we'll leave the anhydrous tank parked across the driveway, probably a little bit dangerous. Let's get back to getting our headlands on here, because once we get the worker set up here, we'll have a little bit more capacity to go run that other machine. I don't trust the worker to figure that out on its own with all the trees down on the other headland there. I think we're definitely going to need to help it out. So we're going to town here. The seeding is going to go really fast on this field, and we're not using nearly as much fertilizer now with this setup. When we did our original seeding, we hadn't applied any fertilizer with something like an anhydrous toolbar ahead of it, and we went through a lot more fertilizer as a result. This is a much better balance for us, and we'll probably make it so we don't have to do much, if any, refilling here as we go through and knock out this field. Going to be super careful not to bump into that anhydrous tank here. There we go. And I think what we'll do, because of how we're coming into the end row here in front of this barn, is we're going to pick this up and just drive around the barn with it and pick up our other headland and come up and around here. I think that's going to be a little bit easier for us, probably. We'll see how it works. Let's circle around here. Like so. And then I'm going to pull through and then back up and take this other headland pass. I think that's going to work out the best for us. Something like this. It's always tricky with some of these end rows, making sure that you hit all the spots. Realistically, the yield on the end rows is kind of suspect a lot of the time anyway, so if we get anything out of them, I think it's probably a win. Now that looks pretty good. I think what we're gonna do, since we're here anyway, we'll do one more end row pass. This thing's not the widest implement. And then we'll use that just to get down here and do the second hedgerow pass. I just don't want to be crashing into this barn by accident, even though we've got a lot of room here. Do something like this. There we go. And because we already did the headland passes on the other end of the field, all we've got to do now is hire this worker off. I'm going to have him work from these shorter rows first and head up towards the longer rows. I think that'll work for the best. I think he's going to be good to go now. So with that, we're free to get back in and work on some more anhydrous. So much like the previous field here, we're going to be putting down some anhydrous here in this bean ground. Now we don't need a lot, and so this should work out for us pretty well. I feel like something's gone a little bit off with my camera here. So we can see here we're doing a good job on this bean ground. And I probably should have done a second headland pass up there, but we've got a lot of room for turning around, and I kind of forgot. I got distracted by the fact that our camera seems to be acting a little bit funny here. When we go inside the cab, we've got this like weird camera mode that focuses on the toolbar instead of the tractor. And so it's really interesting. I've not seen that before. So it's a little distracting. I'm not sure if that's a function of the tractor or the toolbar. Either way, we're back to normal now. I'm not used to having multiple cameras in a vehicle setup. And so like the other field, we're attempting to just put down a flat amount of nitrogen. We're not trying to overdo it. We'll wrap up how much we need exactly for the corn coming in with the planter. And so you can see here we are putting 80 kilograms down and we're at 20, so that's going to get us up to 100. So depending on the type of soil, corn needs anywhere from 120 to 200. And so we could probably be putting a little bit more down on this ground. And in fact, maybe we'll try that here. I'm trying to get around these trees while we're up on this end, and then we're going to circle right back and do another pass down here because trying to turn around by these trees is a little bit painful. And so if I bring up the F1 menu, I want to change the application rate slightly. Oh, and so this is applying double to anything that I've already driven over. So this is an interesting part of precision farming. When you're doing it yourself, you can double up on how much anhydrous you're putting onto a section when you're doing it manually. So we're going to find that because I didn't turn the toolbar off when we overlapped there, that we're going to have a section that's got a little bit extra nitrogen on it, most likely. There we go. We've got our headland passes off. I think what we're going to do, we're going to get going on the straight part here along this road. It does wave a little bit there, so I'm going to do the farm sim overlap a bit just to make sure we're getting all the parts of the field actually. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to up our rate slightly. So we're going to go up to 100 kilograms of nitrogen going in because we've got absolutely nothing in parts of the field here. And other parts of the field are pretty low. So this is going to give us a little bit more of that shot in the arm. And hopefully we'll be in a good spot come planting season. we're definitely going to be better off than we were if we hadn't put any nitrogen down. And you can see we're actually using up the anhydrous a little bit faster in this field. We're already at 87%. Again, these fields aren't very big, so I don't think we're going to run out of anhydrous today. I think we'll be able to hit all of our fields, but we just want to make sure this guy's going to be able to handle all the things. Getting turned around, it looks like it's working out okay. No problems. Good deal. And so we're going to let the worker take this on just a bit, and I'm going to come over here. We're going to check on our worker that's putting in the wheat on the other end here. Looks like he is missing some bits on the headland down there that we'll have to wrap up, but it looks like we're doing a good job. We're not burning through fertilizer too fast, which was the problem last year, is we kept having to refill the fertilizer a bunch of times. So I think this is going to be a much better balance for us. Alright, we have finished with the anhydrous here, and I believe our seeder is on the last pass of soybeans over here. And so we're going to run this anhydrous applicator over to our last field of soybeans. But I think we're not going to get to that in today's episode. We're going to wrap up this wheat, though. I want to make sure we get that field finished off, because if I don't clean up these headland passes today, I know we're going to forget about that before next episode. So let's go see what kind of a mess this guy made. He thinks he's done here, but we've obviously got a fair amount of headland to clean up here. It looks like 2 passes is not enough with this seeder. He turns wider than I anticipated, and so we probably should have gone for the full 3. I think 3 probably would have done a better job. It looks like there's a little bit more than 3, but we would have just had these little splotches missed as opposed to an entire headland pass here, which I think I could probably live with. But as long as we're here and we're running the seeder, I think we're going to clean up all of these, which means we've probably got the same mess on the other end of the field, unfortunately. So we're going to run up there and check on that as well. We get some really good dust coming up off of this dirt road. I really like those aspects of Farm Sim 19. I think they did an awesome job with that. I feel bad for our seeder right now, just getting caked in road dust, but not much we could do about it. I guess I could go slower, but yep, well, shocking surprise, we do have the little bits to clean up on this end of the field as well. So we're gonna go ahead and just grab those passes with the seeder here, and we're gonna tackle this corner. We really messed up this corner over here. So I think we'll try and just take that as we would around like so. Something about like this looks better than it was. Not perfect, but close enough. So we're going to get this thing all folded up here, I think, to bring it back down to the other end of the field. We don't have any other seeding that we need to do here in the fall. And so this is going to get washed up and then put back into the shed, I think, for the winter. Really the last bits of things that we need to do here before we move into the spring would be to finish putting down some anhydrous on this other bean field over here. And so we're going to go ahead and we'll get that done here at some point, probably the beginning of next episode, and get ourselves bounced into spring. Break things up a little bit as we get into spring. I think we've got a little bit of spraying we'll have to do at some point with the herbicide, as well as just getting started on the rest of our planting. I can't wait to see how this winter wheat works out, though. We tried that on our County of 40 Mile save, but I don't think that geo is really well set up for how you would really rotate those crops in that part of the world. I'm not sure. I'm still doing some research there, but this geo looks like it's going to be able to handle that, and that's really exciting. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, drop a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more daily farm sim content. That's all for today. Kedrick, out.